Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Data Show. My name is Chris Greco. I'm your host for the next 30 minutes. We're going to talk about different types of data, studies, those types of things. But today we're going to kind of lighten it up a bit. We're going to talk about silly studies. Okay, remember silly putty? Well, silly studies. And this is something that uh, you got to understand the humor when it comes to some of these research studies. You have to just understand it. Well, I've recently written a book. It's published that the title of it is "A Data Analyst Walks into a Bar Graph," and the entire book is focused on funny studies, things that you take a look at and you think to yourself, why would they do a study on that? Why would those things be done? Well, this is what we're going to talk about today, and I'll go through it. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a shameless plug for the book. All right, I mean, I'm going to make it informative the next few minutes, but the bottom line is that I'd really like you to take a look at the book and to read it. It's an ebook and also in a hardback, paperback, and it's on lulu.com. So I will be, I'll be plugging that book as time goes on, and I hope you can forgive me for that. So let's take a look at that. Risible research, right? Ridiculous research. So see my book, right? Data Analyst Walks into a Bar. It's available, bar graph, available at lulu.com or Amazon. Now, it takes a sample of studies through history that are just plain silly. And we'll talk about some examples on the show. For instance, cave dwellers that made pictures based on constellations 40,000 years ago. And of course, cave dwellers were 40,000 years ago too, right? The horse manure disaster of 1894. Talk about that a little bit. The Ig Nobel prizes. Ig Nobel, it's really, 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 really a great site, and we'll talk about that. We'll in addition, we'll also I'll give you the website. You can take a look at it. It is absolutely hilarious. And I took the studies and actually went into the study, got the study from the Nobel Prizes, and then actually went into the study and took a look at it. And it's just really, really funny stuff. Really funny stuff. The only thing is if there was a grant given for these studies, and that grant was based on taxpayer money, that might make me a little bit upset because some of these studies are just so ridiculous. But anyways, we'll talk about that stuff. The Club of Rome. We'll talk about the Club of Rome. And finally, a thing we've talked about in the past called predicting the past. And I know it's like, Chris, what are you predicting the past? Basically, what happens is it's like this. You say, if we wouldn't have fought World War II, look at the number of lives we would have saved. There was a study recently came out that said that, hey, if we wouldn't have had vaccinations, there would have been like 30 million more deaths or 3 million more deaths or something like that. That's called unfalsifiable. I can't falsify that because there's no way to falsify it. There's no way to go back in time and say, okay, let's not have the vaccinations. Whoa, okay, there was 3,000 million more deaths. You can't do that, right? So that's what I call like predicting the past. When you sit back and you go, oh, I'm gonna say this based on this, when in actuality there's no way that anybody can prove it false. So cave dwellers draw the constellations, right? So a study done, archaeologists discovered, and I use the term loosely, discovered, that people over 40,000 years ago made cave paintings based on star constellations. Now, if you want the references on this and everything else, see my book. There's books that work. Better yet, go to Google and put 40,000 years ago constellations. As a matter of fact, what we'll do is let's do that right now. We can actually do that, and we can show you. I can show you where to get that stuff. So basically what I'll do is let me get out of this real quick, and we will go ahead and we will make a Google search on this study. So, I mean, let's say 40,000 years ago, Neanderthal cave painting Main constellation. Let's see if it comes up. Should come up. Here we go. Hayes, the first Neanderthal art, suggests ancient use of, here it is, Science Daily, prehistoric art, cave art suggests ancient use of complex astronomy. Complex astronomy. So, and there it is. There's a study right there. Some of the world's oldest cave paintings have revealed how ancient had relatively advanced knowledge of astronomy. I mean, come on, really? Come on. Now, this is, I don't even think this is an Ig Nobel Prize. This is just literally I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's just, I mean, but that's basically the site. So the leap to this conclusion was based on the similarity of the cave painting to the constellations as they existed 40,000 years ago. So first question, right? How did the scientists know what the constellation looked like 40,000 years ago? Second question, how similar were the cave paintings to the constellations? Answer number one, computer modeling did that. Now, computer modeling, I think we rely way too much on computer modeling, folks. And this is where you shove in a bunch of different things into the computer, and the computer pops out an answer based on what you go into. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit, and in the book, I really focus on this, is the Bayesian probability. Frequentist probability is based on, if I flip a coin, if I flip a coin enough times, I'm going to get 50% heads and 50% tails. In Bayesian, there's a lot of factors that you put into that, like, how are you flipping the coin? Are you flipping with the right or left hand? How, does it go 3 times before it hits the ground? There's a lot of different things you plug into that. And basically what happens is, as you change flipping the coin, so you change the amount that you're going to get, 50% heads, 50% tails. It's not going to turn out that way. And to tell the truth, it really doesn't. It kind of evens out, but you got to get like a million throws, right? So that's what the computer modeling tries to do, but computer modeling can't put in all the changes, and we don't know what changed in 40,000 years. We have no idea what it was like 40,000 years ago. We have no idea what it was like, 5,000 years ago. I mean, we're sitting there saying, we bring up all kinds of archaeology, but that's based on the knowledge we have now, right? And so that's the idea behind that. And the number two, so how similar were the cave paintings constellations? Well, it looked like a bull, which kind of resembled the constellation that was given to you by a computer model of what the constellations looked like 40,000 years ago. I know, yeah, I can't even wrap my head around this thing. I mean, it's crazy. But for whatever reason, we believe all this stuff. And I look, I'm not busting on scientists, right? Science has done a lot for us in the past, whatever number of years, 200 years, 300 years. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of things that science has that, because the world has changed, science has to change with that. And that's, unfortunately, science doesn't always change with that. So that, I mean, they do, but then people, like people end up getting burned at the stake and things like that. So it's, science changes, but with changes comes a lot of pain, right? So see any problems with this? Is computer modeling improved in science? Close, but 40,000 years ago presents a lot of changes. Bayesian, right? Bayesian probability, those types of things. Bayesian probability, of course, incorporates those changes, but not sure if the computers have all the different changes that could have happened in 40,000 years. A lot of changes happened in 40,000 years, folks. I mean, we're talking about, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. We're talking about climate change, right? All this stuff. We're talking about 40,000 years ago, folks, 40,000 years ago. Everything changes. We'll talk about that a little bit later. If things change, how are those changes incorporated in the research? If there's been 40,000 years of progress, how is that put into there, right? What would have happened, let's say a supernova changed the constellation? I mean, or something, what if it was totally obscured? I mean, people said, oh, no, it didn't. Well, there's a lot of, was there fire back then? If there was fire, smoke, could have obscured that. You see how the questions, when you bring in questions like this, it shows some flaws in the study. And I think to make this massive leap of faith scientific faith where you sit back and go, yeah, 40,000 years ago, this is what happened. So therefore, boom, this is what we're going to come to the conclusion. That's kind of spurious correlation. And I talk about spurious correlation in the book, so I won't address it here. So predicting the past, right, has its shares of challenges. Horse manure disaster of 1894, right? Scientists realized that horses that pull cabs and such in London poop, right? Oh my gosh, they really poop. And there was a lot of horse manure around, right? I mean, other than in the political realms, there's a lot of horse manure. It was actually on the ground. This manure, right, would slowly accumulate until it would be a hazard to people. As a matter of fact, and some did the math that it would be 9 feet accumulation if we continued to have the horses poop, right? So everyone started the horse manure disaster of 1894, and this is in London, England, right? So what are we going to do, right? People are suffocating on the weight of the horse poop. There's all kind of issues with that whole thing, right? Well, Bayesian speaks, right? Change happened. Cars were invented. All of a sudden, phew, that was close. It was we could have been like oh no, help me, please, I got horse manure, but it didn't work that way. It was cars came. And people say, yeah, cars came, and then it was, climate change, and then, the carbon dioxide went, yeah, I get all that. Bottom line is change for good will happen. People are good people. I really, truly believe that there are good people out there, and they will make a difference, and, we won't have the cow manure disaster, whatever. Ig Nobel Prizes, that's what I want to address next. This is found on this website. This is absolutely the best. As a matter of fact, and for the record, they're probably going to send it back and say, no, Chris, no, Chris. But as part of this book that I did, I actually did a make-believe study. But I mean, really wasn't make-believe. It was anyways, I don't want to go into it. Read the book, right? But I submitted the study to this Ig Nobel Prizes. I'm going to see what they say. They may come back and say, something. Don't bother us again, type thing. But this is really, really good, and it goes all the way. I mean, it's a 33rd, and I think it's a 33rd annual this year. I think 33rd or 34th. So this has been going on for many decades, right? And just take a look at some of these studies, folks. I just pulled out like a topsoil of some of these studies, but they are really, really funny. They are really, really funny. So don't, and most of the other material in the book is not from the Nobel Prizes. That's what's really interesting, is that they are from, they're from, sorry, they are from true to life, no kidding studies. And one of which I addressed on this show, I think it was a week or two ago, where we're talking about Lego head figurines type thing. So different categories show just how simple associations can be absolutely hilarious. I mean, they are really, really funny. In addition to this awards, the Ig Nobel Prize Committee has a number of books. I mean, this website has got books, it's got magazines. I mean, just take a look at this, folks. I mean, again, I know this is a shameless plug for my book, but I want to really, really plug these guys and the Ig Nobel Prizes. I think it is absolutely hilarious what they do, and they point out, things that have happened, with studies, and in some cases, and it's a few cases, but some cases, the study actually was testing something and revealed something else. The serendipitous aspect of the whole thing. So it's really funny. So take a look at that, please. Improbable.com. Let's talk about the Club of Rome real quick. So I'm not going to go into this in great details, but these are intellectuals, and I put it in quotation marks because that's the phrase that was used on the website. When they talk about the Club of Rome, they have made some interesting predictions. Human extinction by the early 2020s. It's now 2023, the year of this show. And I'm still here. Still, we're all still here, folks. I mean, humans did it again, man. We went over that. We went over that high jump bar. Yeah, but the bottom line is that that was made in the 1970s. that prediction. Now they've revamped it and they've included some other things like climate change and whatever else they going to put in there. And the bottom line is that now they're saying I think it's 2050 something that it's going to go away. So I mean, it's easy to sit back and predict something, and when it doesn't occur, predict it again. I mean, Club of Rome just doesn't give up. I mean, good for them. That was a best-selling book, but in the 1970s. And I'm sure those people are sitting back going, "Gosh, darn it!" Uh, you know, they revamped it and did another end date. And not that they're wrong in the first first edition. Pooh. The book goes into some interesting predictions, and it's if you want to read something light. Definitely read that. Of course, it's gloomy, so you got to have some ice cream or something with you just to kind of keep yourself in a good mood. But and I think I think what happens is that back in the I think it was back in the 1980s. My father did a speech and he mentioned the Club of Rome, and that's why I really latched onto that. And the bottom line is, he said, and I'll say it again, that there are good people out there. There are really, really good people out there that understand the human condition, and they will try to do things to be able to make progress in spite of the challenges that exist at this point in time. And I think you'll find as time goes on, especially the young people, that the young people in this country, a lot of them are saying, "Oh, they're lazy. They're not doing anything. Look at this. They're getting, college degrees and whatever, and they're not doing. They can't read. They can't write." Stop that. I think that bottom line is that my father always told me that having children is the closest we're going to get to immortality. I feel that my wife and I have been good parents. We're trying to be good grandparents. There are good parents out there, that raise their kids in a responsible manner. And I think you're going to find that those are the children that are going to grow up, and they're going to, be able to do those things that we need to do to be able to keep us going through, extinction events, or predicted extinction events. Now let's go into predicting the past here, because I think this is important. I've covered this in the past programs. I'm kind of focusing on this because this is really, really where research studies can they throw something out there and it's like, well, I can't prove it wrong, so I guess it must be right. Well, that's not true, and then you got to really, really be careful of that. Basically, the forecast says that if something did or did not happen, then something else will or will not happen. So that's how they do it. If something did or did not happen, then something else will or will not happen. And this is borderline, and this is judgmental on my part, and it's an opinion, folks. It's an opinion. Is that this is borderline irresponsible. There's no way to prove it false, the unfalsifiability. So basically, people are just accepting it as a truth. That, to me, by putting it out there and saying, "Okay, prove me false on this," you can't prove them false. That's irresponsible. That's not presenting a valid point of view. That's just that's presenting an opinion. Everyone's got one, right? But I mean, but the bottom line is that you're going out there and expecting somebody to take your opinion as fact, and that's not true. This vaccination study, for one, and I presented this in one of the past programs, said it'll save 3 million. I dispute that. I don't believe that that's true. Why? Because I can't prove it false. I cannot prove that false. There's no way you can prove it true. You can sit there. As a matter of fact, in the book, in the program I presented this, they talked about confactuals, contrafactual. Contrafactual means it's not fact. So you're just kind of throwing something out there. Predicting the past, I think, is dangerous. It's dangerous because it puts people into an emotional state. Rather than presenting facts, you're presenting your opinion, and you're attempting to back it up with data that is basically non-valid data. So you have to really, really be careful about this stuff. Basically, anyone can make a prediction about something that happened in the past and state that a different outcome would have happened if, blank was just done or done right. I mean, Pearl Harbor, everybody talks about that. Oh, if we had done this and this and this and this and this, Pearl Harbor wouldn't have happened. It did happen. Whether we sit back and we go, what can we learn from that? Okay, that's a whole different thing. That's a lesson, right? So we sit back and we say, what can we learn from this? Okay, we can learn that, we have to be better prepared. We have to do this, blah, 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 all this stuff, trying to prevent another Pearl Harbor, which, honest to goodness gracious, you can do whatever you want. But the bottom line and you can prepare for whatever you want. And you can prepare as well as you can, which may help prevent most other things from happening, but something's going to come through. Something's going to get through. And that's addressed ad nauseum within the book, right? Again and again and again and again. It's, about this predicting the past aspect. So speaking of the book, this is the shameless plug here. This is the cover of the book released through lulu.com called A Data Analyst Walks into a Bar Graph. All illustrations in the book are mine. Yes, yeah. Well, Chris, that's really, amateurish. Hey, I'd have to pay an illustrator to do it. I did it. So, accept it for what it is, right? If highly recommended, you get out before it's sold out. Hey, is it going to be a bestseller? Yeah. Or maybe not. But it's there and it's available and you can go out and you can get it. It's also an ebook format. At a reduced price if you have a Kindle or something like that. Yeah, so I said, don't like to buy hardbacks? Hey, get yourself a Kindle or Amazon Fire, whatever they call those things, and do like that. I think I must have. I'll bet you I have 100 texts on my Kindle. I'm waiting for my Kindle to die, and then I'm going to just cry because I got so many texts on there. But that is, this is what's up. It's a brand new publication, and please help yourself. Hopefully you can get in there before everybody else does. Yay. And that pretty much does it for that. Now, there are a couple of things I wanted to go over, and that is what inspired me, right? What inspired me to do this? And I think this is important because I think, everyone talks about YouTube as this, grand and glorious thing here, but I think I wanted to show you just, I wanted to show you just something here that I think is important, and that is that sometimes YouTube, especially in the comedy area, can be so funny. And um, I wanted to do the time traveling dietitian. So this is the time traveling dietitian. Now I'm going to just what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in something here. Mhm. So uh, I'm going to just copy the site. I'm going to put it here. I definitely want you, if at all possibility, I want you guys to take a look at this because I think this is probably one of the best um, YouTube videos that I've ever seen to show that to show all these different elements when we talk about time, time aspects and how time changes and change aspects and everything else. And this is an absolutely fantastic, I mean, really, really, really good um, YouTube video. I mean, this program is going to go on YouTube as well as Pod TV. But I think it's very, very important that you take a look at this time traveling dietitian because I think it will give you the idea of what I'm trying to prove here, what I'm trying to talk about. So, time traveling dietitian, that's the name of it. So if nothing else, just look that up on YouTube. So that's about it. So in summary, what are we talking about? In summary, we talked about the idea of predicting the past. We talked about that on falsifiability. I talked about the Ig Nobel prizes, which I think are just absolutely fantastic. So please, 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 if you have a chance, go to the Ig Nobel prizes. If you want any more information, please contact me at this website. Be more than happy to answer any and all your questions. But very, very important is to understand that no matter what we do, no matter how hard we think that we know what goes on within a study, within research, all these different things, that we have to take a look. One, we have to take a look at the research study itself, and we try to go through that with you on the program, which I know can be very, very dry, very, very, not that interesting. The book does go into sampling and different types of, statistical power, how sampling is misrepresented, is misused, biased in most studies. These are the things that you need to take a look at and say, okay, how do I weigh that with the study that I'm looking at right now? And the bottom line, this whole thing, and it's funny because it's a YouTube video, it's going out on media, is don't believe the media. I mean, I hate to say don't believe the media, like there it is, but a lot of times the media will take and sensationalize the study in order to get people to click on their article. And that's not cool to me. If you're going to present the study, present the title of the study, not your title, that you have, but present the title of the study, which most times is not going to be sensational. It's going to be that type of thing. So you have to really be careful with that. And on that note, I think that about does it for me. I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show and for your interest, and especially the people that watch on YouTube. I appreciate the comments. Please, please, please understand that data can be fun, and this is what this book is all about: is fun. Make sure that you take a look at the book and you give comments to me. I give you my email in the book itself. Please give me a shout out and say, hey, look, Chris, didn't like this about it, whatever. Next volume that comes up, I'll make sure to do a much better job. So take care and make sure that you always, always, always check the data. Until next time, this is Chris Greco signing off for The Data Show.